Hello there, welcome to the podcast, Toki. My name is Santi, and this podcast is all about Toki Pona. If you're completely new to this language, I would just like to say a few words just to introduce it a little bit, but it's a constructed language by Sonia Lang, created in 2001, and the purpose of this language is to be extremely minimalist, to be efficient with words as possible, but in a sense where you distill meanings down into like the most basic form of things. So this whole language has 120 words, 14 letters. I believe now it has been like redefined with 123 letters, but the original book by Sonia Lang has 120, sorry, not letters, I mean words. And the purpose of the whole language is to be able to combine all of these words in ways so that we can find meaning out of them. So I just want to explain what this podcast is about. We're gonna definitely dig more into the structure of Toki Pona, the ways to use it. But first I want to say, right now it's in English, right? Because that's a language I'm comfortable with and that I feel can help me reach more people at first, initially, of course. But I would like to transition into Toki Pona. So this podcast, hopefully, if everything goes well, I'll be able to just make it fully in Toki Pona. So that is the goal. But first, who am I? My name is Santi. My first language is actually Spanish. English is my second language. I'm a podcaster. I've been doing a podcast for about 2 years on Stoic philosophy and creativity. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave in the show notes. But this podcast is all about Toki Pona, so I'm really excited. This project is really just a passion project for now. I want to see what it evolves to. I would like to involve a community of people who are excited, who like to share Toki Pona. I'm more than happy to have like guest hosts in here, so that like if you want to talk in Toki Pona and you want to be in the podcast, feel free to contact me. We can arrange something where you can either read something you've written in Toki Pona, or a poem that you like, or a story that you would like to tell. That's what I want to do. So yeah, for now, I just really want to kind of explain what the process of this podcast will be about. I will be documenting my process, exploring and learning Toki Pona. So right now is actually day one. I discovered it this morning and I was so excited, and I said like, you know what, I'm gonna document the process from day one. I'm just gonna show people what it means to I don't know, like the process, because I think when we start to learn something brand new, we might look up to people who already know the language and we're like, well, I'll never get there. It will take me a while to get to that point. But right now, if you want to learn Toki Pona, you and I we're at the same level. We're just getting started. So yeah, I'll just be documenting my process as I go. It won't be necessarily every day, but every time I find something new or I've progressed quite a bit. Yeah, what I'm fascinated about mostly is the fact that you can learn Toki Pona quite fast. I mean, being extremely fluent, of course, it takes time as any language, but it's so simple that I could memorize every word, right? 120 words in just a week. That is the goal that I'm going for. In a week, I want to be able to at least know most of the words, like hopefully all of them, but like of course there are words that you struggle more with, but like for instance, so I mean a few words that I already know is me, which means I, of course, Sina, which means you, Pona, which means good, which also takes me to the meaning of what Toki Pona means, right? Toki is language, communication, speech. It can also be used as hello, right? Which is quite interesting. But Toki means language, speech, right? And Pona means good, simple, positive things. It can also mean okay, things like that, right? So Toki Pona could mean the language of good, which is what Sonia, the creator of this language, defines it as, and what that is the name of the book, I believe. And it can also mean like a simple language, or yeah, anything like that. But that is the point. Like, it's a very efficient, simple language. So yeah, I mean, there are a few words that I've learned so far, right? So like me, moku, which means I am hungry. Well, it literally means I am food. But of course, everything is meant to be understood by context, or but what makes sense to the listener or the reader, right? So if I say moku, which means food, or hungry, or eating, if I say mi moku, it makes sense to say I am hungry, or you could even say I am eating, but it's very context dependent, and that is what is really interesting about this thing. Like, you can combine a lot of different words and get the meaning out of them, right? So like one of my favorite examples I got from the book by Sonia is really like this idea of what. So for instance, what do you call a friend, right? Like, how do you say friend in Toki Pona? And the idea behind it is that you would say something like Yan, which is like a person, human, Yan, and Pona, which is good. So Yan Pona is a good person, and that's what a good friend is. And it also takes you to places like where you realize that some words are contradictions, such as bad friend. What would it be in Toki Pona? Bad is Ike, and friend again would be Yan Pona, or I believe is Yan Ike Pona. But it's a contradiction because you're saying like person, bad, good. In the book it didn't really say it like that, and that's kind of like what I figured out. But it's interesting because it was explaining that is a contradiction. A bad friend is a bad, good person. So things like that, it really helps you think of words, think of language in a completely different way, and that is the purpose. Just for some context, I've been learning Esperanto for like a year or so, and I've been progressing on that, and I love it. And I actually discovered Toki Pona by looking at an Esperanto meme. Someone was saying, like, Esperanto is the language of the future that will unite humanity. Someone else was saying it's Toki Pona. It was a joke and everything. I'll link it in the show notes if you want to check it out. But I didn't know what Toki Pona was, so I started researching. I realized it's way easier to learn than Esperanto. I mean, it literally takes like maybe 10 times less. Like, this is the idea that I always explain when I talk about Esperanto. And in case you don't know about Esperanto, is the international language, trying to promote the idea of everyone having a second language or third language for the matter, whatever, or whatever language. The point is that if everyone shared a language in common, which would be Esperanto, a language that is simple enough for anyone in the world to be able to learn it without much difficulty, the world would be able to communicate much better, right? So yeah, I mean, this is what I explained when I talk about Esperanto. It would take, I believe, this is kind of the approximate. German would take 1,500 hours to learn. So yeah, 1,500 hours to learn, right? English would take 1,000 hours to learn in total. If you were to count and add up every amount of time that you spend learning the language, that's what it would take. Esperanto would take anywhere from 150 hours to 300 hours in total. Whereas Toki Pona, some people say you can learn it in 30 hours. So literally, it's like around 10 times easier than Esperanto to learn. This is all because it's really meant for simplicity. Toki Pona, the purpose behind it is to be a minimalist language. And it seems to be inspired in the Tao Te Ching, which, in case you don't know, is the text that inspired Taoism. So this Asian philosophy, which has turned into a religion as well. But like that, the Tao Te Ching is one of the most influential philosophical books of all time, and it really talks about. I mean, I love the philosophical side of it, right? In my other podcasts, I talk about philosophy and the way these concepts from Tao Te Ching, Stoicism, and the Tao Te Ching really has this idea of being in the present moment, being here now, and accepting things as they are, things like that. So Toki Pona, as we'll discover in future episodes, helps us think in ways that we can anchor ourselves to the present moment. And like Sonia, the creator of Toki Pona, she discusses the idea of if we can think in simpler terms, if Toki Pona allows us to express thoughts in simpler ways, our minds can become simpler. We can focus on the essential instead of cluttering our minds with a million ways to say something. And of course, I'm not saying that English, Spanish, French, or German are languages that don't have any value or are not as valuable as something as Toki Pona or Esperanto. But it is true that these are languages that are very cluttered with a million words. Like I don't even know, but like English has like an infinite amount of words, same as German, same as Spanish. So it becomes a challenge to be able to express a thought in a language you're learning. So say my first language is Spanish, which it is. Second language is English. I'm able to be fluent enough to think in English without translating. But if I were to learn German, every single word I'm trying to say would probably be translated, or there would be a lot of thought put into my choice of words, so I wouldn't be able to access the thoughts that I want to express in that language as quick as I would like to. So Toki Pona, you can really figure things out as you go, because you only have 120 words. So Pona means good. You want to say, I don't know, the food is good. Food is moku. So you would say moku Pona, right? And all of a sudden this is good food. If you want to say is good seafood, I believe is, what is it for fish? I believe it's, I might say it wrong. I think it's kali or kala. I'm not sure. I need to check on that. But yeah, you would say is good seafood, right? So things like that. So you can just combine and add things up to other things, right? Based on the words you already know. So that is the whole idea. I definitely am still a novice. I still don't know enough to be teaching a lot of grammar yet. Hopefully I will do an update next week, so let's see what my progress is like by next week. And well, if I have anything in between, I'll probably just like document the process, write some ideas that I had from several days, and compile it into next week's podcast. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're excited for this idea of making a Toki Pona podcast. Let me know what you think, and feel free to message me. I'll leave my contact information in the show notes. But yeah, that's it for now. Let me know if you want to form part of this project, if there are anything you would like to read in Toki Pona, any thoughts that you might have, or poems or stories. I would love to check that out. Or even music. Like I've seen there's really cool music in Toki Pona. It'd be cool to play it here and maybe try to analyze the lyrics or try to explain why the lyrics are the way they are. But yeah, that's it for now. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next episode.